We got some more real life drama, and these are your stories.
Hi friends, just your daily reminder that the form for story submissions is officially open. It's going to be open all month long. So if you want to get your story in, do it now, because I know a lot of you get mad when the form gets closed. So it is open. We are taking submissions. It is linked in every description of every video. It's quick and easy. I was gonna make an inappropriate joke, but we're not gonna do that today. Just fill out the form.
Our first story is coming in from Jess. Not sure how to title this story except for saying, buckle up, this is wild. All right, girl. All right, it better be wild, because now I'm excited. So when I was 16, I started dating a guy casually that I met through a mutual friend. We will call him L. It is springtime, and I am a sophomore, and he was a senior at the school in the next town over. I had some friends that I later got close with from the same school that he attended, but I didn't really know anyone that he knew until down the road. This is relevant. When we met, I knew that he was casually seeing someone, but he made himself sound single, and things just went where they went. After a few months, we were official. We broke up once, about 6 months into the relationship. He went off to college in the fall, and while I was bummed, it wasn't devastating. He came back to our town for Thanksgiving break, and by the end of the break, we were back together. We dated long distance for 2 more school years until I graduated and then attended the same university. I moved out the day of my high school graduation, drove the 4 hours to our college campus, and began living with him in a small studio apartment. It was only June, so there were no other students there, and we had a bigger place that we'd be moving into a few months later. My first week there, he left to go visit a friend he knew from his high school that I didn't know well at all, so I wasn't invited. It didn't seem horribly weird not to be invited, but we'd also been long distance for the past 2 years, and I wanted to spend time with him. This friend only lived a few blocks away, and what I expected to be an hour turned into 8 hours alone in his apartment with no contact, no updates, nothing. I went to bed around midnight after watching like 10 episodes of Pretty Little Liars, and when I woke up at 3 a.m., he was back asleep next to me. I had a feeling something weird was up, so I went through his phone. We're all thinking it, right? He was with a girl. This was just the beginning of only finding things out by snooping in this relationship. Turns out he smoked MJ with his friends and his friend's girlfriend and had to wait until I was asleep to come home. So he wasn't with the girl then, in the way that I was just assuming. You know what happens when you assume. Joss. I confronted him in the morning. He knew I didn't like MJ, and we had an agreement that neither of us would use it. My neighbors are coming home. Hold on. Hello, neighbor, just the girl who talks to herself all day. I explained that if he wanted to, he just needed to be upfront with me. I can only assume he had been smoking green since he went off to college without me, and this was the first time since I had lived with him. Summer went on. A few of my friends from high school also came to the same university, so while I wasn't living on campus, some of my friends were, and I was able to meet some new friends through them. One of my high school best buds, she would always be really boy crazy, started dating this guy whose roommate was in a frat. We will call her T and her boyfriend A. Man, these letters are gonna get confusing. All right, we got T and A. T's boyfriend always invited us to frat parties, and I would bring my boyfriend with us. So we formed a relatively large group of people who we would go out with sometimes 3 to 4 nights a week to a party. Mind you, I was also working full-time at a nursing home on top of school full-time. I never noticed anything off when my boyfriend would come out with us, but when I would stay late at work, sometimes until 2 a.m. or 6 a.m., the next day, things would always seem weird. By fall, we had moved into our bigger apartment too, where we had a number of our own parties where generally only people my age, 18, were in attendance. By this point, my boyfriend was 21, so he was able to buy liquor for all of us, and we had a great time. We argued a few times about him lying about smoking, and some conflicts occurred around that. Cue Breakup number 2, initiated by him. I went home for winter break. We weren't together, but we hadn't sorted out our living arrangements yet at this point. I spent a week at home before seeing or really talking to Elle, and to ease my sadness, while at home I connected with someone who I always thought was really cute in high school, and turns out he felt the same way. Where is this story going? We met up, hung out for a bit, and one thing led to another, and we ended up doing some mouth stuff. I didn't go all the way, but I was excited about the interaction. Say no more. We gotcha. I went back to college and started work again. My first night back, I had to work until 6 a.m. And when I got back to mine and Elle's apartment, I found a note asking if we could get back together with my favorite candy. We talked when I got up the next afternoon, and I agreed that we could get back together as it made our living arrangements much easier as opposed to moving out, getting a new place, sorting out who would take our dog, etc. Months later, he snooped through my phone and found texts between me and the guy going back to winter break. I told him, yeah, we did some stuff. He was pissed and felt like I cheated on him, and he was sad to know that I had done something with someone other than him. Mind you, he had dumped me and he had asked me to get back together. At the time, I didn't plan to or expect to get back together at all. I had no inklings that he would want that, and we weren't together. Add on top of that he had double digits on his body count. I had only ever been with him. He must have gotten over it because we stayed together for another 1.5 years after this before moving. Time goes on, I had to drop out of college for financial reasons, and he graduated. We moved together about 2 hours from the university, and he stayed with the company that he had been working for, as did I. One night after staying at work until 2 a.m., I just had a feeling that I needed to go through his phone again. I found out that night he had gone to the apartment of a girl that he went to high school with. One I'd never met, but he described her as someone he used to have a big crush on in elementary school. When I confronted him again, he denied it all at first, and finally I was able to coax out of him that he had gone to her apartment. They smoked together, but nothing happened because her boyfriend was there too. I never met her or her boyfriend. I gave him the opportunity to tell me anything I needed to know at this point, and he told me he'd actually been doing a list of illegal substances that I cannot say with his coworkers in addition to smoking the MJ. We stayed together, but I was even more upset at this point, and our sex life was slowing down. I offered all the time, and I was constantly rejected due to being too tired or not in the mood. I was getting weird vibes because at the same time, he was hiding his phone screen more. He was opening messages in the bathroom and pooping for far too long with the door closed. More time passes, and me and my new coworker of mine plan to see my favorite band at a big concert venue, and Elle liked the band too, so he attended with us. As we were leaving the concert venue, a girl walked up to us and said hello to my boyfriend excitingly and acting like they knew each other well. My coworker and I made eye contact like, WTF, when his eyes got wide and he pushed past her saying, sorry, I have to work early, so I gotta go. And then he hustled to the car. He slept with her. He's cheated on you with her for sure. I'm so assuming right now, but let's see if I'm right. I asked who that was, and he said, oh, just some girl from high school. I don't know her that well. Something felt off, so once again, I followed my intuition and I logged into his Snapchat that night. I guessed the password, thanks to it being the same as his Xbox account that is logged into a dozen times. Sure enough, he and this girl had extensive Facebook and Snapchat conversations, which included saved noodles. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? Naked photographs. Between the two of them, I flipped. I messaged her. She had no idea he had a girlfriend. She told me everything. I woke him up, confronted him, and he confessed. He didn't want to break up, but admitted to sexting for the last 6 months. Hence the long poop trips to the bathroom. The only way we agreed to stay together was him offering to delete Snapchat because he couldn't be trusted with it. Girl, I'm sorry, but why are we still with him? Y'all have broken up more times than I can even remember you saying at this point. I think it's a little silly that we keep breaking up and getting back together. Surely something isn't working here. Things are going well, but months later, we have been together for nearly 6 years at this point. I find out he has re-downloaded Snapchat because Elle was showing me something on his phone when a notification pops through from my best friend, T. By this point, T and her boyfriend, A, had broken up. She had been on the prowl for someone new for a while, and we would have a falling out soon after this occasion. He brushed it off, admitting to downloading Snapchat, but said it was my best friend, that he'd never done anything with her, and she knew that he was in a relationship. Insert eye roll. I don't know if I just rolled my eyes or went cross-eyed there. You guys are gonna have to tell me. Something didn't feel right. I had just had enough at this point, but we continued to stay together. So you really didn't have enough then. You really didn't have enough. Finally, around the 6.5-year mark, I told him I wasn't happy and I wanted to break up. No big fanfare or fight, we just both agreed. We finished our lease and signed a new one. It was easiest for us to be separated, but still benefit from the cost savings of having a roommate. What is happening? You're telling me that you broke up, but stayed living together to be roommates because it's cheaper. Girl, you know what? We're friends here, but if I'm being honest as your friend, you're starting to piss me off. I love ya, but I gotta be real, girl. This is toxic. You were young. You were young. You were young. It's all good. We nearly finished the next lease when he moved out, and we had both been seeing other people at this point. I don't know for sure if he had been sleeping with anybody at this point, but I had been, which definitely helped the moving on process for me. We decided to split up the cats we had, and I would take the dog. I can't remember why, but we met up once while he was living in his new studio, and he seemed to be doing better. But we did wind up hooking up. He admitted he only talked to girls he already knew from home after the breakup and didn't feel confident talking to anyone unfamiliar. I couldn't really relate to that, but I felt for him. This was the last time we slept together. Thank God. Thank God. One day, I couldn't tell you how long it had been, my sister messaged me out of the blue saying, "I'll never guess who my ex is dating." I can guess. It's gonna be your best friend, T, for sure. My best friend T. They were Facebook official. I was dating someone at this point who is now my husband, but my mind was blown. She knew everything. All the times he had talked to other girls behind my back, all the times he lied about using substances, and how poor our relationship had been for years. I was shocked that she would want to be with him, knowing all of that. Another year goes by and they get engaged. He always told me he never wanted to get married and never wanted kids. Guess who also wound up having a kid with my best friend? After getting engaged, my sister asked if he could send me nude photos she thought were my ex. I asked how she got them, and she told me that her best friend had been sexting him on Snapchat. She sent me the photos, and sure enough, they were Elle. I told my sister to text my friend T. Oh, so he's cheating on T. That it wouldn't come well from me. She did. T flipped out and said that she was going to leave him. Elle texted me and admitted to it. We talked a bit and then ended the convo. I was shocked when they never split. Months later, they got married, and then he and I were texting at some point, and he told me they were pregnant. Now they are probably 1.5 years old or so. We hardly talked. I've never talked to my friend T since they got together, but admittedly, I will be shocked if they stay together. Sorry this is long, but nobody knows all the lore. Moral of the story, once a cheater, always a cheater. That's wild, and I can confidently say, you know what? They might stay together because she stays with cheaters. She stayed with the cheater and had kids with the cheater. So he might cheat again and she might just stay. So honestly, I need a drink stronger than water after reading that story, but I need to hydrate. So cheers. My head hurts after that. The next story wants to be left anonymous. My employee reported me to HR. I have 3 employees who work for me. 1 woman, let's call her Michelle, and 2 guys named Kurt and Daryl. Kurt is the youngest one there. He is really smart and catches on to anything you show him. However, he is immature and usually has a negative attitude towards others and work. Michelle is upbeat, trying to always be positive, but it takes her a long time to understand a task. Daryl was my manager and they demoted him and promoted me. I know that this could be difficult. He loves to feed off of Kurt's negativity. Since I became his boss, he loves to ask me questions and say my name about 50 times a day. Each week, I have one-on-one meetings with each employee. It gives them time to say what they want, and I can bring up issues if there are any. With Michelle, we talk about what she needs to learn. With Kurt, we talk about great work he does, but he needs to be more positive. With Daryl, he goofs off, so it is a lack of numbers compared to the others. They have all worked for me for a year. In team meetings, Kurt and Daryl both try to take over the meetings. If I am asked a question, he talks over me and answers it. Sometimes I have to correct his answer. For Daryl, he tries to sidetrack meetings and then take them over. Yeah, my work can be trying at times. One day, after a one-on-one with Kurt, he went and had a conversation with my boss. He then asked to talk to me. He said he was going to apply for another position in the company. I love when people advance. I always tell employees they always need to strive to move forward. And if I can help, let me know. In previous jobs, all of my employees obtained promotions and moved up. So did I. I told him that it was great. However, the one thing that bugged me was he went to my manager instead of me. But I let it go. They decided to let him try out the job. He would work part-time in his current job and then part-time in the other. I said, okay, just give me your schedule so I can make sure that we are covered. Just to clarify, my team is a very small call center. I have to know someone is on the phone. He was going to attend meetings with the other team throughout the week. His idea of giving his schedule was saying that he had meetings in the morning. It looked like from 9 to 10, maybe a little longer sometimes, and an afternoon meeting every other Thursday and Friday. He starts taking conference calls at his desk at 8:30 the next morning. Not the time he said, but okay. He would get off his phone at 10 or 10:30. He was no longer coming to team meetings, so I would send updates so that he knew what we talked about in the meetings. To my boss and the team, I continued to say how great of an opportunity this was and that he would be great at it. On that Thursday, he asked if he could use my office to take a conference call. I said, sure, I have an office, but only use it for meetings. I sit with my team. He then had a meeting on Friday. I then asked if he could give me a weekly list of his meetings so that I can know when his meetings are and if a meeting is added, just to let me know. So the next Monday, he gave me a copy of his schedule. I was able to tell the team when he was there or not. It was so simple. On that Tuesday was his regular one-on-one. He asked me if we even need to have that, and I said yes. He sits down and asks, what do you want me to do while I am not working for the team? I was shocked with the attitude, and I just said, your job. What else should you be doing over here? They were given a project to work on when phones were not running. I had it with his attitude. He had been going to my manager numerous times throughout this trial period, not once coming to me, asking me if we really needed to meet and what he should work on. I told him that he shows me no respect, and I explained why. He started to cry. Oh. I told him I did not say this to make him cry. I was sorry if I upset him, but he needed to understand my position. When we left the meeting, he said he understood and he was glad that we talked about it. I always document my meetings and follow up by talking with my manager. This way, he is not surprised by anything. The next week, I am talking with my manager in the morning. He said the manager of the other department had been told by Kurt that I was being difficult and I did not want him doing any of their work in my area. I was shocked. I had never complained. I had let him use my office. Luckily, my boss backed me up, and that doesn't sound like me. That afternoon, my boss called me back to his office. He says Kurt is going to start full-time at that position, still on trial. I said, great. I still think he is an intelligent person and could be great at that position. My boss said the other manager will be talking to Kurt. I said he must have already done it because Kurt said he needed to step away for a few. I was focused on work. I said okay, and I didn't even look up. My boss said that couldn't be where he was because he just left the manager's office. My boss and I kept talking for a few minutes and his phone buzzed. He looked at it and says, no, Kurt was at HR. He has a meeting with HR and Kurt. He goes, oops, probably shouldn't have said that. We know who he complained about. A week goes by and I still have not heard anything. Then I met with my manager. He tells me about the meeting. Kurt says I bullied and harassed him. I had embarrassed him in front of coworkers and that it is a hostile environment. He said I even agreed that I bullied him. When they asked him what he wanted to do, he said nothing. He just wanted to get it off his chest. They explained that he reported some serious issues and he said, no, I like my boss 75% of the time and I consider her a friend. I just don't like her 25% of the time. They decided he was to talk with me and let me know how I made him feel. My boss said HR may still want to meet with me because of what he said, but he wasn't supposed to have shared it with me. It has been almost 2 weeks and Kurt hasn't talked to me. I act like nothing has happened. HR hasn't asked to speak with me. I sat down at their table for lunch one day. I just wanted to see if it would prompt any comments. Nothing. Stopped the HR manager in the hall yesterday to ask a question. Nothing. So I think that it is over. Now, for Kurt, the other manager decided they didn't want him. He is too mature and needs too much training. No way do I want him back. The owner of the company is trying to encourage the other manager to keep Kurt. Can't wait to see what happens. What a nightmare though, because now you can't trust Kurt. I would never have trust in Kurt ever again. And I would be almost like walking on eggshells, being like careful with what I say, because he might be taking it not as like constructive feedback, but of like attacking and harassment and whatever. Now what? The other manager for the new job doesn't want him, but I don't want him. What a nightmare. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on these stories, you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.